a microscopic animal that survives boiling water, the vacuum of outer space, and radiation doses that would kill every other living thing on Earth. What is the toughest creature that has ever existed, and what does its survival tell us about the limits of life itself?
You think you see the world. You don't. You see a version of it, a thin, filtered slice of reality that your 3 color receptors have been constructing for you since the moment you opened your eyes for the first time. A mantis shrimp has 16. What it sees, we have no word for, we have no concept for. We may never fully understand it, but we're starting to learn what it means for us. The mantis shrimp, Stomatopoda, is not actually a shrimp. It is not a mantis. It is something older and stranger than either. A crustacean lineage that diverged from the evolutionary path of modern crabs and lobsters over 400 million years ago, before the dinosaurs, before the first forests, before most complex animal life as we know it had taken shape. For most of scientific history, it was treated as a curiosity. Beautiful, yes. Dangerous, notoriously so. The mantis shrimp can strike with the force of a bullet, accelerating its club-like appendage at the speed of a .22 caliber round, generating cavitation bubbles that produce a secondary shockwave, even if the first strike misses. But the strike, as extraordinary as it is, turned out to be the least interesting thing about this animal. In the 1990s, vision scientists began mapping the photoreceptors in the mantis shrimp's compound eyes, and what they found stopped the field cold. Humans have 3 types of photoreceptor cells, sensitive to red, green, and blue light. Most mammals have 2. Some birds have 4, which already gives them a perception of color we can barely model computationally. The mantis shrimp has 16. Not 4, not 8, 16 distinct types of photoreceptor, tuned to wavelengths spanning from deep ultraviolet to far infrared, ranges of light that are completely invisible to every human being who has ever lived. To understand what 16 photoreceptor types actually means, we first need to understand what color vision is and what it is not. Color vision is not about seeing more colors the way a bigger paint set has more colors. It is about the number of dimensions your visual system uses to encode light information. Humans are trichromats. We encode every color we see as a combination of 3 signals, red, green, and blue, mixed in varying proportions. Every sunset, every painting, every face you have ever seen has been reduced to a 3-dimensional coordinate in color space before your brain processes it. The mantis shrimp is a hexadecachromat. Its visual system encodes light across 16 dimensions simultaneously. But here is where the science becomes genuinely strange. When researchers began running behavioral tests, presenting mantis shrimp with pairs of colors and training them to distinguish between them, the results were not what anyone expected. In color discrimination tasks, the mantis shrimp performed worse than humans. Not slightly worse, significantly worse at distinguishing between subtle shades of color that any human child could tell apart instantly. 16 receptors. And yet, in direct comparison, a human eye outperforms it at fine color discrimination. This made no sense until someone asked a different question entirely. The question that reframed everything was this: what if the mantis shrimp is not trying to understand color the way we do? What if it is doing something faster? Human color vision is comparative. Our brains take the 3 input signals, compare them against each other, calculate ratios, and construct a perception of hue. This process is sophisticated, but it takes time, and it requires significant neural processing power. The mantis shrimp, researchers now believe, does something categorically different.
Instead of comparing signals to calculate color, each of its 16 photoreceptor channels is tuned to a specific wavelength, the way a radio is tuned to a specific station. When light of that wavelength hits the receptor, it fires. The color is identified not by comparison, but by recognition. This is not richer color perception, this is faster color identification, a system optimized not for artistic appreciation of subtle gradients, but for instant classification of objects in a complex, fast-moving, life or death environment. On a coral reef, where 1,000th of a second can mean the difference between eating and starving, between surviving and being eaten, the mantis shrimp doesn't need to appreciate the subtle difference between two shades of blue. It needs to know, instantly, whether the object in front of it is prey, predator, or meat, using the unique spectral signature that each category reflects. 16 channels, 16 categories. 0 deliberation. It is not seeing more than us, it is thinking less and surviving better. In 2014, a team of engineers at the University of Queensland published a paper that quietly changed the direction of several fields at once. They had built a camera sensor inspired directly by the mantis shrimp's photoreceptor architecture, not trying to replicate what the eye sees, but how it processes. The result was a hyperspectral imaging system capable of detecting 12 distinct wavelength bands simultaneously, in real time, with no computational delay between capture and classification. The first application they tested it on was cancer detection. Cancerous tissue reflects light differently from healthy tissue across multiple wavelength bands simultaneously. Conventional cameras, even sophisticated medical imaging systems, detect these differences slowly, requiring extensive post-processing and expert analysis. The mantis shrimp-inspired sensor detected the spectral signature of cancerous cells in real time, with no post-processing required. The classification happened at the sensor level, exactly the way the mantis shrimp's photoreceptors classify objects at the retinal level before the signal even reaches the brain. The same architecture is now being developed for autonomous vehicle navigation, allowing self-driving systems to classify road surfaces, obstacles, and hazards across wavelength bands invisible to standard cameras, in conditions of fog, rain, and low light, where conventional optical systems fail. And in satellite imaging, mantis shrimp-inspired sensors are being used to distinguish between healthy and diseased crops, detect water stress in vegetation, and map mineral deposits, all from orbit, all in real time. A crustacean that evolved its visual system on a coral reef 400 million years ago is now guiding the design of the most advanced imaging technology human engineers have ever built. There's a philosopher's thought experiment that asks, what is it like to be a bat? The point of the question is not really about bats. It's about the limits of imagination. It argues that no matter how much we know about echolocation, the physics of it, the neuroscience of it, the evolutionary history of it, we can never truly know what it feels like to navigate the world through sound that bounces back from objects in the dark. The mantis shrimp poses the same question, but deeper. We can map its 16 photoreceptors. We can model the wavelengths they detect. We can build cameras that approximate its architecture. But we cannot imagine, not truly, not experientially, what it is like to perceive a coral reef through 16 simultaneous dimensions of light. We don't have the neural hardware. We don't have the concepts. We don't even have the words. And that is perhaps the most important thing this animal teaches us. Not just about vision, about perception itself, about the radical possibility that every creature on Earth is living inside a different version of reality, equally valid, equally real, and that the world as we experience it is not the world as it is the world as we are built to see it. The mantis shrimp doesn't know it sees more than us. it just sees. If this episode made you question what you think you see, share it with someone who takes their own perception for granted. Next episode, we go smaller than small, into the world of the tardigrade, a microscopic animal that survives boiling water, the vacuum of outer space, and radiation doses that would kill every other living thing on Earth. What is the toughest creature that has ever existed, and what does its survival tell us about the limits of life itself? Stay curious.